I promised, and when I promise, I deliver. This is part two of the conversation with Brian White, one of the most unsophisticated. No, did I say that out loud? I said it again. All right. No, Brian, are you kidding? This guy is brilliant. He's got his sources. He's got his resources. He's got even those. Where do you get your information?
So I was actually, it was great. I had this wonderful comment on a video today saying, you know what? I don't believe anything you say about Lucid because you don't know what you're talking about. And I had another comment today saying, oh, you're just speculating. Hey, if I either consider that I may have sources or that I am genuinely a time traveler, because especially when it came to things like the Model 3 Highland, I was batting 1,000, baby. You saw it. So whether I'm exceptionally good at drawing inferences, or I have inside sources, or a combination, I won't rule that out because that's the one that it is. I have pretty good information.
Yes, there's no doubt that you do on the ground reporting. That's why I have you on, because I'm not willing to leave the building.
You're not trusted.
So anyway, in part one, we talked about the new Highland and we talked about the new Juniper and we talked about when are they coming and what's going to happen. But now I want to talk about things like cost, because everybody's very worried as we go into
the margins are going to be destroyed.
Collapse. In fact, I believe it was some people that are thinking it could even go lower than the second quarter. I'm not sure who would have ever said anything like that. So I just saw reporting this morning. Actually, this morning, this is actually probably Thursday, but so that would have been Tuesday morning when we're recording this. I saw reporting today as we're recording this that said that CATL dropped the price of the batteries by 19+%.
Now, remind me, what's the biggest expense in any electric vehicle?
Batteries, maybe?
Oh, is it? Because I thought in the case of Lucid, it was Peter Rawlinson's compensation package.
Man, yeah. Talk about...
Oh, God, a third of $1 billion.
How does he sleep at night? I guess on a really good bed.
on a big pile of cash.
All right. So if the CATL, if this is good reporting, and the reporting was the kind of reporting where the specificity made you believe it, which may mean why we shouldn't believe it, but it makes sense. The cost of lithium has just nosedived, and lithium was a big part of the deal. And CATL, and it's clear that CATL has that all of the battery manufacturers right now have more than enough capacity for the market. So that would be another reason to drop price. There was another report that came out. Reuters did a big, long story about all the employees the Chinese auto industry employees complaining their hours have been cut, their bonuses have been cut. They're worried about their jobs, that, because of the price war that's going on over there, everybody's trying to squeeze the last nickel out. So what are you hearing? Or maybe you're not hearing anything, but this makes me feel a little better. Jeff Lutz has definitely said he thinks all of the price discounting off of the commodities and the batteries, et cetera, should have been washed out of prior inventory. So by the second month or third month of this quarter, we should have been talking about the lowest possible cost of goods from third parties.
So there's a couple things that affect the price. One, of course, is the batteries. I had not heard that report. Thank you for sharing that with me. But that would make sense because just last week we saw that the price of megapacks had been cut by about that much. And that's despite having an over 2-year backlog of orders.
Right.
It's almost as if they are not trying to gouge customers, but actually just try and maintain a healthy margin. And they want more orders to come in because they are about to break ground on a new megapack factory in Shanghai. There's a confirmation.
There's a third aspect. Have you ever been a buyer or a seller to major buyers?
Well, I mean, yes, but go on.
Well, okay. So, when I've sold everybody you can think of. I've sold Target and Kmart, well, who's Kmart? Anyway, but I've sold all the major buyers in the country. I've sold the Army and the Navy. I've sold major buyers. And I was a pretty significant purchaser over the years, not, train loads at least of plastic. You get hammered. I don't care what anybody says about limited TAM. When you walk in the door, the guy is like, are you kidding me? The price of lithium has dropped like crazy. The price of this has dropped. You're not going to charge me the same as you did last time, and you get hammered and hammered and hammered. I am 100% sure that's what was taking place. And so might as well. Oh, plus it's in the contract. They have escalator clauses and de-escalator clauses based on the prices of the commodities that are under pressure. So might as well just start from where it is, because you're going to put an escalator clause in there anyway.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So there is a ceiling to how much Tesla was going to have to pay for batteries, but there's also a floor. Let's get back down to it. But the battery is only one component. All the components are normalized since the shutdown.
Right.
There was a lot of people paying a lot of extra prices, extra expedite fees, all that. Those are in the past. If any car company is trying to tell you the reason their sales are down is because of part supplies, they're either lying or far more likely grossly incompetent.
Yes.
I don't know. It could be little a column A, little a column B. But so all the parts should be going down. And never forget economies of scale. The more of something you buy, the better price you get. You get to a point where there's no more pennies to trim. Great. Can I trim a fraction of a penny?
Yeah.
I'll take a half a penny on every rivet. Do you know what a half a penny on every rivet would be? My Lord, that's a lot of money, because you're making millions of cars. So it's, the example I give is when you look at the factory and the way it's laid out and the way they're so slavishly determined to optimize the workflow, I say if you could save $50 a car, and you're making 1 million cars a year, that's 50 million. You're there 10 years, that's $500 million on a $50 price cut.
Right.
So it adds up. It becomes real money. Now, the question is, can these price cuts be maintained while maintaining a margin? And the answer is, I don't know yet. I think so, but I don't know so. And part of it is, it kind of doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I don't pay my bills in percentages. I pay them in dollars. And if I can move more units at a lower margin, I will do it. We just saw full self-driving beta cut from 15,000 to 12,000. That's a 20% cut. If they increase the take rate by more than 20%, they get more dollars. And in that case, because the marginal cost is essentially zero, that just improves the margin overall. But when I was a teenager, I worked at the mall, and we had this thing where we said, if you buy 2 cookies, you get the third one for 22 cents. And in a meeting, the manager was telling me, oh, we keep track of all the costs. And I said, you don't know what the cookies cost. She goes, no, here's the price sheet. And we need to sell more drinks and more little things of milk, because our costs, our revenue per customer needs to go up.
Right.
Our average, to which I said, let's stop selling the third cookie. What? I said, look at, it's 22 cents. You just told me your cost is over 22 cents. You lose money every time you sell a third cookie, but you don't, because it doesn't cost 22 cents. So sometimes the volume pricing makes sense. The third thing, if it's a buy one, get one half off, they're both overpriced by 25%. So the margin's already there.
Right.
So yeah, it's okay to cut prices if it means you're dominating the market and making vastly more total dollars.
All right. So now let's talk a little bit about the other side of the coin, which is, I've been saying for, 4 months, I think, that Tesla could probably and might almost certainly slow down the ramp in Berlin and Austin without any kind of reporting about that. In other words, they would hold on to this notion that they're making as much as they possibly can. They don't care. They'll just cut the price while slowing down the ramp, because they know that there's not quite enough demand to take all that they could make if they turned it on full boat.
I think you're absolutely right. I was expecting to see the numbers increasing in Texas. Okay, Randy gets some inside scoop. I don't know what the part is because he wouldn't tell me, but I do know that there was 3,456 of a part that was going to One Tesla Road Warehouse on Wheels. And that was scheduled for every week, 3,456. Sounds like an oddly specific number, but all numbers are specific apart from 11, umpteen, and cajillion. Those are very vague. So the much less specific anyhow. Those orders are placed months in advance. I have not seen that number change.
Mm-hmm.
If it's changed, it's only changed in the last week or two. There is no imminent plan to increase production of Model Ys in Texas. You heard it here second.
All right. Okay. All right. So that kind of confirms that. And so in a tough year, in a year when interest rates are high, in a year when it might seem difficult to increase by the numbers that were hoped for, that's kind of why I thought maybe they would slow it down without really making a big deal about it. And then they would be able to turn it up rapidly if they did see a demand. Any chance, do you think, any slight chance that if the Model 3 Highland is a massive hit, how fast could they turn it on in Berlin and Austin?
So I still don't think they're planning to, but how soon could they if they did? So in Berlin, they could. So in Berlin and Texas, they have 3 lines. They're not running at full speed. They could shut down one of those lines, put the other 2 to full speed, and all they really need is to bring in the dies to stamp out the parts, I suppose. They would need to reconfigure the robots, but they could get those mostly dialed in via, just downloading the program from another factory. You'd still have to finish it, but I suppose you could probably enter production in a month, would be my guess.
Wow.
And if they're doing 2170 packs, which we believe they are, those are the same packs that they have for the Model Y anyway. Wouldn't be a hard change to make. But yeah, I don't see them doing that, but that would drastically cut the retail price of the car in Berlin because you would avoid the import tax and you'd avoid the shipping cost and the shipping time.
Right.
So those are all possibilities.
All right. Yeah. Because I've asked you on your show a couple of times, what are they going to do if this Model 3 is a blow? I mean, you were the one that brought it to me and said, oh, by the way, sedans really sell well. Not only around the world, even in the United States, they sell well. It's just that the sedan that sells well is a $27,000 sedan.
Right.
So now you get close to that price, especially after IRA discounts and not spending money on gas. Now you're talking about a sedan that is a $60,000 value that you're going to pay the equivalent of $27,000 for, or 28, whatever $1,000 for. It would seem like the demand would go up radically, and all of a sudden you could be looking at needing that kind of expansion. And I was just trying to figure out how could that be done. And it sounds like, let's say you're off by a month. Let's say it takes 2 months to expand. Even 3, that would still be great. That would be phenomenal if they could pop those out. If they see that the demand, I've heard numbers. Again, this is out on Thursday, so by the time we're saying this, it may be knowledge one way or the other. But on Tuesday, as we're shooting this, I was hearing numbers that they might have already moved 90,000 Highlands over the weekend.
Would that surprise you?
Let's say that it would be kind of one of those, oh boy, that would be the highest number I could have thought of.
Well, when you say move, do you mean reservations or deliveries?
Reservations for 90,000. Yeah.
Reservations.
Well, orders.
Yeah. Real orders.
Yeah.
That would be on the high end of what I expected too, but it doesn't surprise me. This is a long anticipated, beautiful car.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looks good inside and out.
Right.
One of the things I pointed out was it now has a continuous design aesthetic with the white panel along the door, along the dash, back to the other door to the back seat. It's got a unified theme in the way the old one, I didn't notice anything wrong with it, but it's doors and a dashboard and more doors. And I think that the panoramic glass was doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the inside.
This might be an entire third show, so we won't spend any time on
Oh,
this.
no.
No, just give me an off the top of your head. We had the German show over the weekend. There was at least 15 headlines over the weekend of new cars, new potential cars, spec cars from Mercedes and BMW, et cetera, at the German show. Have you seen anything over the weekend that you were like, okay, that's a smart move, or that? I mean, we want competitors. I want strong competitors, and Elon does too. So I'm not worried about them. I'm just curious in terms of the future of getting rid of ICE cars. Were there any BEVs that you saw a headline about or a picture of over the weekend that you were like, oh, that looks good?
So the short answer is no, because not because they don't exist, but because I haven't seen enough of the coverage yet. So I think I just slept this weekend, but no, I didn't catch much. So that's unfortunate. I will try to do that. But if there was something out there as good and as cheap as a Highland Model 3, it would be headline news on every website. No, there are cars that are as good looking, that are as fast, that are as cheap, but in one package, that car does not appear to exist at this time.
Right.
I'm very hopeful for BYD and a number of the other Chinese companies, MG, Li Auto, Xiaopeng, to get ramped in a serious way. And those companies, a lot of people haven't heard of because they're Chinese, and Chinese cars don't sell in the US due to the chicken tax. But they're, it doesn't matter if they sell in the US, they're global cars. And if they sell well enough and make enough money, they're going to have a factory in Mexico or North Carolina or Detroit, and they're going to build them here. And I think Ford and GM and Stellantis need to stop trying to benchmark Tesla and start understanding the threat posed by these Chinese cars. The US for the longest time was the biggest exporter of cars, then Japan. Now, 1 out of every 2 electric cars sold in the world is sold in China. And China is now the world's largest exporter of cars, due in no small part to Tesla.
Right. Yeah. No, I just saw that the other day that they'd passed Japan. Better wake up, guys. I mean, you mentioned Stellantis, GM, and Ford. The one that needs to wake up is Toyota. Oh my goodness.
And Honda. What happened to Honda? They were so good for so long, but again, I've got a whole video on why Japan hates electric vehicles.
Yeah.
And the common complaint everyone says, oh, it's because they don't want to be beholden to China for the batteries. No, guys, 20 years ago, there were no Chinese electric car batteries. There were no Chinese electric cars. There was a Nissan Leaf 11 years ago. The Prius is almost 20 years old, and it was one step from full electrification, and they just didn't do it. They had Panasonic was the big maker of EV batteries, and that's Japanese. So, no, there's a bunch of reasons, but that's a whole video.
That's another video. Yeah. Go back and find that video. Maybe you'll send me. Maybe you'll think to send that to me, and I can slap it down in the description.
Noted.
Doing that even now. Boy, Brian, are you quick? So I think that covers everything I wanted to cover. Well, are you kidding me? We could go on for another hour, which we will not do. But thank you so much for coming back and helping me. And hopefully that also helps my audience to understand some of these nuances, because the stock on Tuesday was up 10 or 11 points. I don't know how it ended because we were shooting this during the middle of the day, but it was up very nicely with the market down. Again,
it was on no news. It was on no news. This comes out, it's going to be great. and it goes down. If you had inside information about what was about to happen and tried to trade on it, you would not succeed.
Yep, it was the news took the entire weekend to gel, to marinate, for the street to understand the significance of what had just taken place. All right, Brian, thanks again for being on, and hit like, hit subscribe. Yeah, Brian, would you hit like, please? Hit like.
I will do it for you. I come and bug your people in the comments. And
Yes,
yeah,
you do.
Randy, thanks for having me on. I want to say if I had this whole interview to do over again, I don't know.
And for all of you out there in listening land, it's been great talking to you. If you don't mind, I do want to pitch my little device here. I have these little devices for $25. You can't believe how cool this is. Look at how thick the stainless. I mean, holy mackerel! It comes in a camo as well. It's a can opener. I mean, I'm sorry, not a can opener, a bottle opener. So you got your bottle opener here too, and it's got a magnet on the back, so you can slap it up on your fridge. I mean, is this good or what? So anyway, you just send $25 to my PayPal account. It's down in the information below. Just click on there. You can send it 20. Now, if you're out of the country, I got to charge you an extra $20 for freight. So, or if you join my Patreon, I'll give you one at the $10 level. I'll give you one for free.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.